Ladies and gentlemen and ladies, welcome to another week, another episode of the Medicine Ball Podcast. You could have chosen to spend your time anywhere. You rock with me today. Thank you. I never take that lightly. Before we get into it, let my beat drop. Yes, that's right. Welcome to Medicine Ball with your boy LS3 to be exact. And if you ain't in shape, at least your brain should be. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Medicine Ball Podcast, where we focus on giving your brain a six-pack by exercising your mind. Now, exercising your mind means that you actively think about and deal with all situations by first seeking to do anything other than what you are normally programmed and or comfortable in doing. Now, if you're someone who struggles and wants to get better at thinking about things beforehand, as opposed to reacting in ways that require less effort, well, just like anything you want to get better at, it does require training, practice, and work. Now, I'm well aware that thinking about things beforehand as opposed to responding off instinct does require effort. And who doesn't prefer things that are easy? Well, the first step, my friends, can be very easy, and that's to begin to look at all things from an unbiased point of view, which in itself will increase your curiosity in life. Now, exercising your mind won't give you all the answers. You will, however, begin to look at things with more peace, understanding, and patience, while simultaneously equipping yourself with more tools and strategies to help you effectively deal with this thing called life. Now, before we go any further, I'm no doctor, no psychiatrist, no psychologist. I have, however, been diagnosed with bipolar disorder level 1 for 16 years. And to be honest, I got to a point in my life where I was looking at the person I was becoming versus the person I wanted to be. And that, among other things, required me to look at my mental health responsibly. So whether or not you're diagnosed or know someone who's diagnosed or have symptoms or just want to know more about it, it doesn't matter. Maybe you're one of the many people who could just use some tips, tricks, and different ideas to help you get through day-to-day life. Pull up a seat, kick up your feet. ELE, everybody love everybody. This is your home, no judgment zone. Welcome to Medicine Ball. I appreciate you. This week's episode, season 3, episode 9. Growing pains. Let's go. I'm starting to try to hit my content a little bit faster on my shows. Some shows we will do the announcements and those kind of random things, but let's get into it. Season 3, episode 9, growing pains. Now, I will let y'all know, this is not the following week. I'm recording this episode Sunday, April 25th. I already had this idea about growing pains and things that you go through when you're leveling up or going to the next level, whether it be financially, spiritually, mentally, personally, man. It is going to be some growing pains and things of that nature. So I already had it together, but I went to church today, right? And the way that things played out, just kind of like God will give you alley-oops. If you're praying right, if you're trying to stay locked in with him, he gonna give you alley-oops. You just have to be aware of them and be willing to accept them. And so I went to church today, right? Let's get right into growing pains, right? And one thing that really stuck out about me is the passages that my pastor was reading. They kept saying, prefacing the passages by saying, to those willing to listen. It's just, I don't know. I just found it odd that everything was prefaced, because I like my pastor. He's dope because he breaks things down into sections and numbers and makes quick points and things like that, kind of like I try to do. So I really appreciate his style, but every single point today was prefaced with, for those willing to listen. And the idea that we're not always willing to listen. And I think that relates to life in general. And that's what growing pains really are, right? So, man, I guess it's just story time. Let's get into the story, man. Because this is so crazy. I'm sorry I'm laughing a lot, you guys. Go back and listen to Joker if you want to know more about that. But let's get into it. Sunday, right? 7:45 in the morning, I get a text message. And I'm going to try to keep this as long story short, it's somebody who no longer works with the current company I'm employed with, and they're just asking some general questions in the text message, right? It's 7:45. They're not even with the company no more. So I wake up, you know what I mean? And just kind of always trying to practice humility and look for opportunities that are clear opportunities for me to practice. For me, I'm really working on being more of a people person and just tactfully dealing with people, no matter how I might really feel inside, right? So I just woke up, but I'm still aware of this. So I answer professionally, right? Then I get a phone call. I ain't gonna get into it, but long story short, I got cursed out in the phone call, right? ended the phone call and I politely said, yo, I'll follow back up with you on a business day. I ain't gonna get too deep into that, right? Now, that was early in the morning. That was kind of frustrating me a lot. But God works it out. And since I was up, went ahead, took Mamba out, went to the service. Boom, right? Service is called How to Hug Your Haters. Ouch. Literally. The name of this little series is Ouch, How to Hug Your Haters is the first part of it, right? So I'm sitting there. Hold on, let me grab my list, man. So I'm sitting there, I'm taking my notes, and he breaks his points down. I really love my pastor. It's Eagles Nest Church, by the way, if anybody wants to know. But he breaks things down into these like nice little crisp little points and topics that are easy to bounce to the next thing on, kind of like I try to do here. So I really appreciate his style. But today it was like, how can you hug your haters? He used Luke, right? The book of Luke, chapter 6, verse 27 through 36. And it's kind of talking about dealing with difficult people who aren't good to you. And so he goes into hug your haters. The 4 things you could do to hug your haters, right? Number 1, love them. Number 2, do good to them. Number 3, bless them. Number 4, pray for them, right? So then I could tell he was feeling himself. He was on a roll. He went to 4 more, right? He gave us some additional medicine points. He was like, here's things you could do when you are hurt. Number 1, don't seek revenge. Number 2, graciously communicate pain to the offender. Number 3, don't treat the pain like a pet, which means don't like, hold it and cuddle onto it and embrace it. Nah, don't hold on to the pain. And number 4, don't allow pain to ruin relationships. This was after what had just happened with the call on a Sunday morning, right? So boom. I want to take this time to pause because I always talk about in my life, because I think it was, I'm not sure if it was my current pastor, but I got it from, in the church where someone was like, God believes in retesting. And I always say that on this show. And like, when I say things on this show, I be saying them to myself too, because, repetition will ingrain something in you. I'm going through some things in my life right now where it's like I'm really looking at him because I carry myself a certain way, but internally I'm always looking at myself and I know I could be a cranky dude, right? Like an agitated dude, like a dude who just like, we talked about the Eminem line, man. Sometimes I just feel like my father. Note that. Sometimes I feel like my father. So growing pains is about these tests or situations in life that you encounter when you're trying to go to the next level, whether it be financially, spiritually, personally, in a relationship, et cetera, et cetera. There's always going to be some type of test or something that you're going to have to overcome in order to let you know you got to, because otherwise, how would you even know you got to the next level? You know what I mean? Whether that be dating to a girlfriend to a marriage or whatnot, or with a job, whether it be the mail room to the floor, from the floor to the personal room, spiritual life, whether it be, I just go to church and kind of tithe here and there to, okay, at least I'm going to church consistently and tithing consistently, to like, yo, you just a discipline. Y'all feel me, right? Follow me. So, I often talk to a lot of people who talk to me about things that they're going on in their life, and I chuckle within, not at them, but just like, man, you're being retested, and you keep failing the test because you be stubborn, right? I see that a lot. Guess who else I see that in? Myself. So I feel like this particular situation today, I've been blessed financially, getting more finances, getting more responsibility, even with the podcast growing. Spiritually, the test coming. The test coming. We talked about this. Guy was like, yo, congratulations on all that good stuff. Spiritual step, right? I digress. So I'm outside walking Mamba after this sermon. I'm like, yeah, you know what, man? Like, I ain't gonna retaliate. And I went back and I read the text messages and thought about the conversations. I was kind of feeling myself. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was like, yo, I handled that very professionally. Like, no matter what, I didn't do anything wrong because I didn't get upset. I just kept it professional and I was still nice. Blah, 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 right? I'm in a situation right now with my father. And for those of you who follow my podcast, or just even those who know me personally, know like me and my father relationship is, I would say, better than it's ever been, but it's not great. And I'm just going to be transparent here. I remember vividly situations in my life where I was literally crying and asking my father just to accept me, right? Just on some, don't look at me like a piece of trash. And that man said no. Now, it's funny. I'm laughing at the pain now, but it's just because within that, I kind of realized who he is. You know what I mean? Like I said, he's been to the war, You feel what I'm saying? I don't know if he's killed somebody. I don't know. Like, me and that man have been in some crazy situations where it's just like, this dude ain't all the way right. Even though he's my parent, I respect him. Like, he's a human. He's been through stuff, especially in the war, right? He has some things going on. I'm outside walking Mamba. I'm like actually singing the praise songs, right? I'm happy. I'm jovial. I'm looking at like what I can do today to be productive and get accomplished. And I walk in and like literally I could hear this man making like funny noises, like grumbling, or I don't know what it was, but it was just awkward to me, right? So I come up the steps and this man hands me a letter, right? The letter's right here, ladies and gentlemen. And I gotta laugh because we talked about this, but like he hands me a letter, right? So me being a cerebral person I am, like, and I ain't gonna say he's guilty, but just like I truly believe like my dad really thinks that like I'm not as intelligent as I am. And I'm not saying I'm a know-it-all, but I'm definitely smarter than he thinks I am. Let me elaborate on that. As I've calmed down and gotten older and learned to think about things, like this is not like out of the ordinary for this dude to hand me a letter with something written up, right? And putting that together, I'm just gonna keep it real. My dad is not a good communicator. So if I would have really eased my approach, once he handed me the letter, which I did, and just a few minutes later realized, yo, this is a bad communicator attempting to communicate something to me, which I can appreciate, right? So he hands me the letter. You know, I open up the letter and I would take my faults, and he got these dates written down here that are days that I work and I manage like other people, right? So that kind of threw me into a frustration, but he has this thing, and I think it might be a military thing, where he like everybody used to pick on Obama for doing the thumb movement, like when he used to do the thumb, but now I know why he does that, because that's not threatening. A finger being pointed at you, I don't even think like it's too much stuff you could be saying to somebody and pointing your finger at them like on beat or something, like a conductor, right? That would not make that be like a aggressive type of body language. So again, me, I'm into body language and all that. We get into this situation, and I told y'all on my last show, like one of my dad's favorite things to say is like, yo, you're running against the clock. This thing about time, and that like life is just a clock that runs, and you just in this clock, and it's what you accomplish within that clock. That's how he feel. I don't agree with that, but I know he feels like that, so it's dangerous when it comes to a conversation with him, right? I'll get up from the conversation, you know what I mean? And I've come a long way, and I'm just like, yo, can I get 15 minutes? Right? So even as I'm telling him, like, yo, let me get 15 minutes just to get myself together, he's still like, yo, you don't got time for this, and you know why you don't got time, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Right? So I talked about this on the last episode. I compromise and negotiate, right? I was like, well, man, can I get 5? Can I get 5? You always give me 15, like I'm about to die right now, or you might feel you're about to pass right now, or you might be feeling your mortality. And I'm able to think all of this, but I know he don't think that I'm that smart, right? So I'm like, can I get 5? So during this 5, at this point, I've gone when I tried to get my 15, and I prayed. Remember, we started talking about God and testing and retesting. And that's number one that I wouldn't normally do in that situation. Man, I ain't go in my room and grumble. I went to my room and I dropped to my knees. And I was upset. And I just said, God, I see what you're doing. I'm not ready for this test yet. We just talked about this. Like, it's too much too soon, right? Too much too soon, right? God help me. I pray. I get back up. Even now, I'm realizing it's Sunday. He's trying to do all these business-oriented things on a Sunday at 11 o'clock. I'm realizing that, but I don't say nothing to him about it. So now I'm at my computer, and I'm trying to get my computer on. Here he come. Because I ain't reacting the way that he would think that I would react. Like, get upset and say something crazy. Nah, bro, let's work it out, bro. Like, maybe me doing this for you will give you some peace of mind. If I can give you some peace, what they say, pray for your people, bless them, right? What I said earlier, right? So I'm doing this. So now I'm totally self-aware of like my body language, my responses, everything. You guys, I'm curled up in a ball, sitting at my computer, right? Sitting forward like a little kid who's getting scolded, right? Because I mean, I guess that's what he wants. This dude's standing up and he's doing the Obama point, but he's doing it with his finger. And he's telling me like, do this. So even there, right? hold on. Let me go back to my thing. Today it said, and this is God because I ain't memorized it. I'm looking at off the paper just to tell y'all the story. It said graciously communicate pain to the offender. So at that point I'm like, bro, sir. I'm saying sir at this point. You know what I'm saying? Sir, can you please, like, I'm sitting here and I'm not doing anything and you're standing over me and you're jamming your finger at me. Right? And then I just started saying, like, yo, even with Mamba, if I jam my finger at Mamba, he runs away. If I open my arms up to him and talk to him, he comes toward. So at this point, you know what I mean? He's like, well, I'm about to just go ahead and handle this thing with the insurance. Are you cool with that? And I'm just like, yo, whatever you want to do, I'm with it. And he was like, well, I just want to make you aware. I was like, you just told me I don't got time. Life keeps going. So life keeps going. So he go make the call or whatever. So at this point, it's been like 5 minutes. I ain't talking to nothing. I'm sitting here minding my business. He come back. You know they closed, right? Ladies and gentlemen, growing pains. Now, I want to point out a few things that happened just in that instance and how they could be painful, but how they can help you grow. Just in that instance, right? And I talk about these things all the time. I don't even have to go look at a list or anything because it's the same thing, bro. It's the same thing. Number one is like being open to the fact of like where you could have done something different and where you are wrong. I was wrong because I should have been on point mentally and been like, yo, me and this man, like him handing me a piece of paper with some drawn out plan on it, like on a really deep level, this dude was a whole like sergeant in the army. So he might just like, I don't know, but it's gotta be maybe he had to sketch up some little plan back when he was in the war that ended up saving his life. I don't know, but for some reason, you know what I'm saying, somebody you in close contact with that you can have a conversation with when it's time for some business to get done, the man trying to put something on paper, right? So, but on the lower level, I do first be open to where you could have been wrong, man. I should have been not even just mentally on point, but just kinder to just be like, okay, this is a bad communicator, attempted to communicate and appreciate that, which I do, right? Number two, once you realize that where you have gone wrong before or where you could be wrong, you got to go ahead and implement new strategies and new techniques. I'm getting better as days go on and as situations pass, but just like, if you would have asked me 2 years ago in that situation, would my first move be to go like drop to my knees and pray? I would have like, it's no way I could have even faked and told you, yeah. Yo, I went straight to my knees, right? Prayed. That allowed me to give me time. And that's what I always talk about. Like a lot of these things that we do in life be from the momentum of the situation. They be from impulse. Man, the first thing you got to do is get you some time. Like, so even in that moment when I dropped to my knees and prayed, like I could still hear this man like being a grumpy old man, right? Because that's what I say to him to make him mad, because I know he don't like that. I'd be like, man, you being a grumpy old guy. But I could still hear him saying something, but it was just like phased out. I didn't have to look at these notes. Like God placed them notes on me and the steps to take on me so that I could be more successful in the situation. So I implemented strategies. Now in this situation, it was divine. Cause I didn't go in there and look at my notes and then pray. Like I prayed and then I was like, okay, this is a dude who just got done talking to me about time and action. It would be a jerk move for me to just go in here and play the video game or something. You know what I'm saying? Something like this. So I got back up and I went back into it. But I was willing to implement new strategies and new ideas. I didn't know if it was gonna work. I was like, man, I don't know if me just being chill and just being calm when he's pointing at me like it's going to be able to make this situation go right or continue to go left. Implement your new strategies. If what you have done previously don't work and you have access to new strategies, implement them. Even when it said like communicate the pain to your offender, like it's deeper pain there between me and my father. But just in that situation, like my man, it's painful when it's painful when you standing over there and you jabbing your finger at me and I'm trying to communicate and go along with what you're saying. Like even when I communicated that to him, like he was frustrated, but he kind of like, I think it got him more mad because I had said it in such a like calm way that he might have looked at himself, but it eventually got him to like kind of walk off and give me the time needed to gain back control of the energy in the situation, right? Number 3, This is something I'm always talking about too, man. Get your victories where you can. So y'all know me, I'm about bonus points, man. So I've gotten to the next level of finding my victories to when I was like, you know what? This is a growing pain right here. Like, because eventually, I sat down, whatever my man want to do, I guarantee it'll be done today. But I was also like, man, this is just too good to be true, to believe. Like, I can't tell somebody I got cussed out at 7:20, went to church, you know what I mean? And God immediately was like, all right, here's your test. And then was able to handle, not perfectly, but just like definitely differently. And all of this goes back to the idea of growing pains, what they are, and more importantly, why they are necessary. Now, in my research for the show, I went and looked up growing pains, and like, believe it or not, they say some may or may not experience soreness in specific joints, soreness and tenderness in specific muscles, and aches and things of those natures. But most importantly, it's the growing pains of life. Now, when I think about growing pains, I think about a situation where maybe it's a smaller kid who all of a sudden has these growing pains, and over the summer, and all of a sudden they're 6'6". Even in that aspect of it, this is medicine ball. Let's take it back to a relation of a sport. In that aspect of it, that growing pain turns you into a potential athlete. And just that, it unlocks your potential. And that's why these aches and these pains, where we might have to bite our tongue, where we might have to swallow our pride or just be quiet while somebody give us some feedback or criticism, they're necessary. Because chances are, if you're facing one, you're on some level. You're not on level 0. You're facing one. And on the opposite side of that, along with other lessons, is your breakthrough. Season 3, episode 9, Growing Pains. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to say to embrace them, because in my experience, growing pains are often some of the most difficult experiences we have in our life. Whether it be dealing with a difficult parent, whether it be making it to that next level at work, whether it be taking that next step, relationship-wise. Listen, on the other end of that is your potential. And I always end the show and I work with people. Sometimes you just need somebody to tell you they believe in you, man. Trust me, you going through a growing pain. Life is about them. And again, God believes in retesting. So maybe you continue to be tested and you feel like there's no other way out and you don't even believe in yourself anymore. I believe in you, man. On the other side of that, I promise you, is your breakthrough. These growing pains are necessary for evolution to make us a better version of ourselves. And ultimately, that's what we should want to strive to be. The very best version of ourselves, all right? Stay up. Keep your head up. Push through. Thank y'all for rocking with me this week. Go following me on my social medias, Instagram, man. I'm trying to get to 5,000 by July. All right. Medicine Ball LS3. Merch coming. More merch coming, rather. I've sold out. Sorry. More merch coming. Until we get together again next week, I appreciate y'all rocking with me. Stay up. I love y'all. Yeah, yeah.